Hi, my name's Carrie and I make silly noises and silly faces for a living. Now what I want to talk to you about today is how you can look after your voice if you're finding that you're getting tightness or you're getting hoarse or you're not able to speak as loudly as you would, or there's just not the same tone or quality in your voice as usual. So it might surprise you to know that that the voice is only one part of speaking. There are other elements that come into play. So I'm just going to give you 3 tips that will help you to maintain some vocal health or get some back if you're starting to lose your voice or find that it's getting difficult to speak. The first thing to think about is posture. So often if we're sitting on Zoom calls or we're on the phone, or what the devices that we use now these days, is often we're hunched over, we're maybe having a cup of tea between sentences or coffee and that kind of stuff, and we're not really thinking about how we're sitting. So the first thing, and even if we're standing up, is to maintain a good posture. So head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles if you're standing, and a gentle bend in the knees with a nice space between the shoulders and the ears. If we're sitting down, as well as you can, if you need to get a cushion to support your lower back, then I would suggest doing that. Obviously, if you've got back problems, speak to someone who deals with back problems, but sometimes the chairs that we have at home are not quite as comfortable as the chairs in our working places. If you're in your office, make sure that you have a good office chair that will support your posture. So while you're sitting, make sure that you're sitting with your head over shoulders and shoulders over hips, and have your feet flat on the ground. Reconnect with your body and notice how you're sitting. Okay, I'm not going to go into any woo-woo stuff, but when we're thinking about how to look after our voices, it's really important to notice how our body's feeling. Okay, so the next thing we can do, obviously we stay hydrated. I keep going into rooms around, I'm in lockdown at the moment, so going into rooms around the place and finding lots of half full glasses of water. So making sure that you're staying hydrated, but a really good thing to do as a little extra is to add some lemon and some honey, which I'm just gonna grab here. Well, you know what honey looks like, but have some lemon and honey and boil some water, let it cool for a bit so that it's not boiling, and then add the fresh lemon and honey, and add some ginger if you've got some, and also some turmeric. That's really good for soothing the throat, calming down any inflammation, and helping you to have a more healthy sounding voice. Now another thing that we can do is to yawn lots. So once we've started yawning, just thinking about yawning makes me yawn. But yawning's good for relaxing the throat and the neck area. And then what we can do is take our fingers and at the back of our necks here, we can use long lines down the side of the top of our spine there, into the muscles and into the shoulders. Okay, and we can do that a few times. Now not only will that relax the muscles off, I actually asked a professional masseur about this. This will also help to remove toxins from that area. So again, without getting woo-woo or anything, this is stuff that will actually help. Now getting into some actual exercises. If you haven't already lost your voice and you just want to maintain what you've got and bring it back to normal, this is a really good thing that you can do just before you start speaking, especially if you've got a long day of calls. So nothing fancy, we're just going to stand, head over shoulders, shoulder over hips, hips over ankles, gentle bend in the knee. And we're just going to breathe normally, but what I'd like you to do is take your hands like this and just place them around your ribs. So it's not your waist and it's not your hips, it's right up around your ribs where you would be tickled if someone were to tickle you. And then just stand there with the space between your ears and your shoulders and just breathe normally. And you're allowing your ribs and your back and your abdomen to expand. So we're not trying to hold the stomach in, so we're not causing any tension in the stomach, okay? So if I turn around, you'll see that as I breathe, my chest, this is a little bit, the video's a little bit high, but let's just bring that down a bit. So you'll see that, that's not really worked. You'll see that as I breathe, my chest isn't lifting, it's just my ribs, my back and my abdomen underneath that area expanding. So you can see that my arm and my elbow's moving as my ribs expand, but my chest isn't raising. Now the next thing that we could do is to relax our diaphragm, and the diaphragm supports the air as we exhale. So as we inhale, our diaphragm flattens and allows the air to come into the lungs, and as we exhale, the diaphragm pushes the air up and out of the lungs, okay? And the more control we have of our diaphragm, the more support the diaphragm gives the air as it leaves the body. So we're not going to go into too much of that, we're just going to relax the diaphragm. And a really easy way of doing that is this shushing exercise. Shh, 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 shh. And you continue doing that, and you'll start to feel it heat up inside your body. You'll start to feel warm inside. That's literally your diaphragm warming up. So another couple of exercises we can do to relax and warm up the diaphragm is panting. So I have two things that I do. I call it big dog pants and small dog pants. So the big dog pants sounds like this. So big dog pants, we're using the diaphragm. And I'm not pushing that in with my hands. The diaphragm is actually moving up and allowing the space for my hands to come into my body. It brings everything in, and so my hands go in. So this is just to demonstrate how to do it. You don't need to hold your hands here, but it might help the first few times just so that you can understand what's happening in the body. And the same happens with the shushing exercise. So you can see I'm definitely not holding my stomach in, it's definitely, I'm letting it all hang out. And this is one of the keys to relaxing. So we don't hold our stomachs in, we relax and let everything hang out so that the body can do its work. So onto small dog panting. And again, you can see that my body is moving in and out, and the hands are moving in and out with the body. I'm not pushing in. This is the diaphragm doing its work. Now, I'm not going to make you sing, but I am going to show you a couple of vocal exercises that you can do to just warm up the voice, to get it ready for a day of speaking. Now, you don't have to be presenting or delivering a speech or even doing Zoom calls, but if you just start to get used to looking after your voice the way that you would look after your face, teeth and hair, then it will become part of your routine. And it's just a couple of minutes added to your daily routine, and eventually it will just blend in and become one of your normal day-to-day habits. So something that we can do, no one else needs to know, this is not loud, is just to breathe in for a few seconds, noticing how the body moves as the air comes in, and then we do a really gentle low hum. Okay, not too low so that it's not in the fry, it's not down here. It's a real vocalization. And this should be just about audible to yourself, making sure that you're not whispering. So we breathe in for a few seconds. And then a low, gentle, just audible hum. Now, the really important thing to note is that when we hum quietly, we often feel tension in the throat, and that might start to happen. So if that happens, change the hum to ooh, ooh, and feel the air. Some of the air should be coming through the nose and some through the mouth. And when you've mastered that, that will take a few days, possibly. Then when we come back to the humming, just make sure that there's air coming through the nose, because what tends to cause the tension is that we're trying to make the sound come through our closed mouth, which is really difficult. So we want the air to come through the nose, and that way the sound is resonating through the nose, and that releases the tension here. So I hope that helps. Now at the end of this video there is the condensed version without all of the explanations in between, so that once you've gotten used to doing these exercises you can just watch the very short clip, and then you'll get used to having it in your routine and you'll know exactly what to do. So take care, stay hydrated, and see you very soon. So, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles if you're standing, and a gentle bend in the knees with a nice space between the shoulders and the ears. If we're sitting down, as well as you can, if you need to get a cushion to support your lower back, then I would suggest doing that. Obviously if you've got back problems, speak to someone who deals with back problems, but sometimes the chairs that we have at home are not quite as comfortable as the chairs in our working places. If you're in your office, make sure that you have a good office chair that will support your posture. So while you're sitting, make sure that you're sitting with your head over shoulders and shoulders over hips, and have your feet flat on the ground. Reconnect with your body and notice how you're sitting. We can use long lines down the side of the top of our spine there, into the muscles and into the shoulders. Okay. Shh, 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 shh. And again, you can see, so we breathe in for a few seconds, and then a low, gentle, just audible hum. So take care, stay hydrated, and see you very soon.